Alcoholics Anonymous, your similar interest is to want to stay sober and help other people get sober. That's not
do you
always
really think that
everyone's
that's true?
interest.
Yeah, right.
That's what it should be, but that's not what it is all the time.
Okay, the line is principles before personalities, and I've always said it's personalities before principles, and that's the
Yeah,
way it
because
is.
you could get a personality that can really fuck up a meeting.
Yes,
I mean, they could fuck up a lot of people.
I agree.
I've seen a couple of, but they were the kinds that they talk about in the book that are just constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves.
Step one again,
Yeah,
honesty. Back to honesty.
right.
So if you are incapable after doing step one of being honest,
Hmm.
and you're not taking medication because you're a sociopath at that point, are you a sober person? If you
If
walk
you're
around
honest,
and
absolutely.
you're still sober.
Repeat
Okay,
the question.
Repeating the question.
Yes.
I guess working a good program would be your cult as well as my own personal cult. They're still my friends, but
Right.
they know I think of them as a cult, my little circle. They consider me a quote unquote dry person because I refuse to go to meetings. Your cult would probably describe me as a dry, angry, waiting to drink person. I'm sure. I'm sure I come off that way. It's part of my charm and mystique.
Well, when I was little, my mom used to take me to the mall, and to entertain me, she would like have me run up the downward escalator.
Yes.
And of course, when old people would get at the top of the escalator to come down, I'd have to stop running and go down with them. And I kind of look at recovery the same way. You got to keep running up that down escalator, and if you stop, you're gonna go back to the bottom. I mean, like I said,
Well, I
I
think
like the
if you're
program
willing, I
because
think
I
if
was
you're willing to make
miserable
drastic
being.
life changes, you can get around that. You can. But I think it revolves around drastic life changes. And I don't, here's what I mean. Step
Mhm.
one is about honesty. This is who
Right,
I am, take it or leave it,
right,
and I don't want to do this.
right.
Okay, let's simplify it down to its basic term. I think it's quite cute and quite fuzzy that everybody wants to do spiritual consequences and, family. Like, here's the truth. I've been sober a while. The
Hmm.
physical consequences, the relationship, like all of that stuff, you even learn later on in life. It's not that big a deal, right? It's it's whether or not that you're okay with it.
Hmm.
That's the reality. I mean, emotional and physical consequences, relationship consequences, work consequences, family consequences. The one I always find amusing is the spiritual consequence of, yes, I feel abandoned by him. I do. And it's because no, it's not. It's not. It's not. It's not because you drink. Your family doesn't hate you because you drink. They hate you because you're not honest. You're even people who get the court card nudge, right? At the end of the day, my comment's always the same. It's just because you're not honest. The man didn't put you here. You put yourself here.
Right,
That that's the honesty part of all this that
right,
nobody seems to get. So my
right.
question is, you do a thorough and fearless inventory or whatever cult terminology you want to use and do a
Well, that's
step
another
one.
month down the road when we do
I,
step 4.
yeah, I get that. Don't worry. So I do a step one. I'm honest. I lay it out.
Right.
This is who I am. This is how I am. Okay. If I am dishonest after step one, let's say I'm cheating on my wife and I am a sponsor of other people and
Hmm.
I give out advice or I have an opinion on how others live their life, is that not at its core the most hypocritical thing on the planet?
Absolutely.
Okay. Just making sure.
Yeah, I mean that's it, it is. I mean, when I sponsor, I try and I don't. I use the term lead by example, but I grew up in one of those houses. Do as I do, not or do as I say, not as I do.
Right.
And it's yeah. I mean, it's crazy.
I would ask the question that I hate to get religious, but ye have no sin, cast the first stone here. Nobody in the program could ever throw a stone, ever, which begs the question of why does anybody have an opinion about how other people are doing whatever they're doing?
Mm-hmm.
That's the part that I'm having. If there was like a sales pitch to get me to come back to meetings, my question would be, does everybody, are they all allowed to still have their opinions? That's my question. Or are we keeping them to ourselves? I mean, if it's an open dialogue where everybody has an open format, I'm okay with that. If it's everybody keep it to themselves, it's great. But it's the fact that everybody lives in this bizarre gray area of this is okay, but that's not okay. Well, my sponsor says this is okay and that's okay. And you're not really an alcoholic because you didn't really do it. Like that whole thing. Like I don't think people understand until they do have about 5 years where they can actually examine this whole thing and take one step away from the game of life board, the Monopoly board that is the 12 steps and go, there's a lot going on here. There's a lot going on here with a lot of different people. And I've said this, and maybe I'm crazy, that if you really want to get sober, that a 12-step meeting is probably the worst place to get sober. That's a lot of toxic personalities. And I don't think that they're all there for some people are there for the betterment of you, but that's not the majority. Tell me within your own group, are they cheering for people or are they looking to put people down and be better than?
A few of us are cheering for people.
Okay. But it's not the majority.
No, the majority are immature drama queens.
Right. See, you're just selling me on why I'm not ever going to a meeting again.
But that's not why you go to meeting. I mean, I don't know.
Why then would I go to a meeting? I have a better understanding of the 12-step than most people. Would you not agree?
Yeah. Why do I go to meetings? I go to meetings to give it away.
I'm looking for me.
You?
Hey, the program's selfish, man.
You have a lot to offer people. You can protect that newcomer from the people that give the program a bad name, that are hypocrites, that don't suggest. I went into a meeting and a guy tells me, he's like, you have way too much money to get sober. I said, get the fuck away from me. Don't you ever talk. And I heard that he told a sponsee that the kid makes too much money to quit your job. And then the kid's crying in a meeting. 6 months later, he's bankrupt. It's like, well, why'd you quit your job? Well, my sponsor told me to. I'm like, come on, man.
Wow, that's flying Arizona logic.
Your sponsor talks to shadows. Yeah. I mean, come on. Bounce it off somebody else. But I mean, there's certain meetings I go to work my first step. And those are usually old timer meetings and there's not a lot of new people in it. And then there's meetings that I go to work my 12 step.
Okay. So let's go through this one last time for everybody. So when you're outlining your step one, it's important to get the emotional consequences, physical consequences. I begrudgingly say the word spiritual consequences, but people don't live in a rational world with me. So go ahead. Family, partnership consequences, career and education consequences, and any other consequences, including financial, loss of friend, whatever it is. You've got to be as what we're outlining is you need to be honest the minute you get and forward.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think a big part of the first step is like I say, why are you here? What don't you like about yourself? What do you want to change? And what are you willing to do to get there?
And for those of you who think you've done a good first step, I would challenge you, those listening to the show. It's not that I don't believe that you're working a good program. In fact, no, you're not working a good program. Ian probably, on the other hand, probably thinks you're working a good program, and he's your cheerleader. I'm not.
Well, the program's a Rubik's Cube. There's millions of combinations with one solution.
Wouldn't it be refreshing just to watch somebody walk into a meeting, raise their hand to share, and go, I hurt? I mean, just get it down to its core level and be honest.
That happens here in Arizona. One thing I'll say about Arizona is I would say only 90% of the people are there to save their face rather than their ass. And I'm
That's
like, even this morning, I got to look. I woke up early. I couldn't go back to sleep. I went to the gym for like 3 minutes. I couldn't focus on working out. I went to a 7 a.m. meeting, and I looked like crap. And somebody came up to me. They're like, "Dude, have you been up all night?" I go, "No, uh-uh." I'm like, "I got up about an hour ago. I haven't showered yet. I went to the gym and came here for a cup of coffee."
Now, were they doing that because they're being emotionally supportive, or they're hoping that you fall on your face? Based on the person, based on your gut reaction on how it
I
went
would
down.
say out of the 4 people that walked up to me, it was 50-50.
See, that's terrible.
Of course it is.
And by the way, if that happened to me where I showed up to shovel, like my friends generally have the same kind of opinion on me. It's like, and these are like legit
Right.
friends who know me well enough to know. I'm like, yeah, you don't look so good.
Yeah.
And half of them are happy about it, and half of them are trying to make
Yeah.
sure that I'm okay.
Yeah, but I stopped caring what people thought of me years ago, in the rooms anyway.
Well, yeah, well, that's a whole secret after the 12 steps are done. All right, any
You're right.
remarkably amazing words that will make people want to do a first step?
No, that's that's the most personal thing you could decide for yourself if you're going to jump into this deal. If you've realized that your life is unmanageable, because your life could be unmanageable for different reasons. I mean, my life was unmanageable way before I ever picked up a drink or a drug. Um, and you just gotta, like I say, you don't like who you are, you don't like how you feel, you want to change, you don't know how, but you're willing to go. You're willing to take suggestions and try and change for the better.
All right, so as we do so often on the show, if you're new to this show, definitely go listen to Step Zero. It was our kickoff episode.
Yes.
I come off as completely awful. But the reason I bring that up for anybody who's made it this far going, hey, these guys aren't so bad. Yeah, I'm that bad. My words of wisdom for this week are to the newcomer. Hello, newcomer. I hope you find a sponsor, and I hope you go do your 90 meetings in 90 days. But you listening to this show that has maybe 1 or 2 weeks of sobriety, I'm going to let you in on a secret that no one's shared with you to this point. You're going to relapse before I do another show next week. So hopefully you keep yourself together and have really good medical plans in place. So when you go back to the hospital after blooding your knuckles a little more, you can catch up. We'll probably be on steps 5 or 6 by then. But hey, just, if it does work, send me an email and let me know that you've found a way to drink or use drugs without, any consequences.
Oh,
But so far, I haven't met
that would be
any.
wonderful. Yeah,
I haven't met
I'd love
anybody
to.
yet.
I'd love to find that magic wand.
Do you have any words of encouragements for newcomers or old comers?
Yes, I do. Make Lee eat his words. If you feel like drinking tomorrow, just remember Lee's going to be laughing about it.
I'm him.
Yeah,
I'm so
You,
him.
you guys just don't pick up in spite of yourselves, because whatever you're feeling, whether it's bad or even good or nothing, it's going to change. So if you feel like drinking, you just got to sit on your hands long enough, and that feeling will go away. And don't give Lee the satisfaction of being right.
Sadly and statistically, I already know that I am.
I know. 19 out of 20 anyway.
19 out of 20 at least. We will be back next week. We'll be consistent now. You had a step zero kind of jump off. Sign up. What you're seeing is Spreaker right now. It will be on iTunes this week. We've got enough episodes now. So just go on iTunes and type in Black White Recovery and sign up on iTunes, for goodness sakes. Make us new and noteworthy. Why don't you? I appreciate however many of you listened to the first episode. Hopefully when I send this out through all the channels, I read some of the comments on some of the chat rooms. It was a little painful that you guys, with less time than me, think so little of me. I'm trying not to laugh in your face. Um, but we will be back. I'll let you in on a secret. Next week, step 2. I know you're excited, right? So if you're doing your steps with us, as I told you, you should remember you want to do a